All right, your true productivity is the productivity of your entire team, not just your personal productivity. Now, as real estate investors, like I said, I know that a lot of students come into our programs and, as students of fortune builders, and they're starting solo. So they don't really have virtual assistants. They don't have a partner. They might not have a personal assistant or things like that. But in time you will. One of the best things for you to do from the very get-go, if you're limited with your funds, is to perhaps look into having a virtual assistant. We use virtual assistants pretty much in every department. Now, I don't use one for the mastery program, for the coaching program, but like, for example, in our technology department, we have our virtual assistants that are managing the different accounts like Twitter and Facebook and different projects that we're working on and some of the videos and things like that, because we realize that we can't do it ourselves, and then also it frees up time for us to work on bigger projects or prepare for other things that are about to happen in 2010. So with that being said, you definitely want to look at that moving down the road. It's very inexpensive, and it'll certainly save you a lot of time. If you sit there and you add up how much you're paying a virtual assistant, which is almost next to nothing. Seriously, like if you go on, I think it's Elance or different websites where you can hire a virtual assistant, and you think of how much money or not a lot of money that you're paying this individual, okay, to manage some of your I don't want to say unimportant tasks, because everything really is important if you are, maybe not as important as some of the things that you have that are pressing. If you can farm this out and you take how much money you're paying this person an hour and then times it into a week, you're going to realize how much more money you're saving yourself in the aggravation when you get, as you secure more deals for your business. Because when you look at those thousands of dollars versus hundreds of dollars, there's no comparison. All right, number 13, eliminating the worst practices is essential to effective time management. So there are some things that, you might be doing right now that are considered a worst practices in regards to time management. Well, the best way to overcome that is to replace them with good practices. I can't think of anything off the top of my head as a worst practice, but if you know that it's creating a lot of stress for you during the week and you're not getting things done as quickly as you'd like to, then, number one, you recognize that. So you need to kind of step back and maybe make a list of what you think to yourself, once you get off this call or maybe this weekend, and determine what it is that might be considered worst practices within your own business and how you can replace them with some good practices. All right, practical, productive tips to get you started immediately. Well, number one, as we had mentioned, you want to write things down, take notes, even if it's on a little Post-it. Just start with that. If you're not a big note taker, you can just, well, I'm trying to think. I use Post-its sometimes, but what I do on my computer is I just open up Notepad, and then along, as the day goes by, as the week goes by, I'll just, quickly open up a little Notepad on my computer, and I just minimize it, and then I just kind of start adding things. Now, that is in addition to my weekly and my monthly calendar. I already have things kind of penciled in to remind me of things that I need to do each day. However, things pop up, and I just want to make sure that I'm touching base with everyone or whatever it is that I need to do so I don't miss anything for that day. So you can either write it down in a notebook, or you can, as we go down the list, there is one that says carry a notebook, but you can, I know there's a bunch of gadgets out there that you don't have to necessarily, write it down. You can just type it in or whatever type of, actually my husband bought me one of those iTouches, so if I can ever get around to teaching myself how to use the iTouch, I guess I'll start using that from, moving forward rather than just writing it down. Okay, prioritize your list, which is what I just said. You want to make sure that you're prioritizing your list in order so you can get to everything, because it would really be a bummer to get to the end of the day and then you look back and you have, say, for example, a list of 10 things, and guess what? You only were able to accomplish 4, and now it's just making you feel even more overwhelmed, and then you end up working, super late into the evening. So just make sure that when you are creating your list, to put the pressing things at the very top and then just kind of work your way down that list. And then, of course, plan your week. Some people wake up every day and they're like, okay, what am I doing today? I'm more of a planner. I think it's really important. And I may have mentioned this in a previous call, but on Mondays we have a company call. We're all over the country. Our home office is based out of San Diego, and San and some of the other owners, they live out of a suitcase because they travel a lot, and we have our boot camps and things going on. So we have different staff that's all over the country. Well, how does the organization keep running? How do we keep moving forward? And this is really important for you to know, because if you have a virtual assistant, or if you decide to hire people that are not in your own backyard, how are you going to run your organization with everybody all over the place? Well, what we do is we get on a webinar because, we have different documents that we need to review and we want everybody to see, and different Excel spreadsheets and tasks and things like that and reminders. And then we just go, we pretty much touch on every department. Every department will, represent their whole department and talk about the things that are going on and what's pressing and what's on their to-do list and what they're doing that week, and so on and so forth. So that's really important to keep those lines of communication open as well. I didn't mention that too much on this call as far as communication, but that is very, very important, because we've seen a lot of organizations fold because they just didn't have the communication skills. They didn't really want to communicate with each other. But the nice thing about it is Stan kind of, he promotes that. He encourages us to talk amongst each other and as a team, so we know kind of what's going on in all the different departments, and nobody's left in the dark, and everybody's kind of on the same page. Really, at the end of the day, what we're trying to do at Fortune Builders is, to ensure that we're continuing to take care of the students and providing whatever it is, the resources and the things that we need, the training for you. But the only way that we're going to get better at it is by coming together as a team and collaborating all of our different things going on and work together. All right, and then like I'd mentioned, carrying a notebook or an iTouch or whatever it is that you want to use, you want to make sure that you carry something with you at all times, because you might be out and about and see something, and then you think, oh man, I need to write that down. That's a great idea. Or you see a sign somewhere or whatever. So just make sure that you have something with you at all times. And learning to say no. That's a biggie. And for me, it's really hard for me to say no. I'll be the first to admit that you want to say yes to everything, and you think if for some people, including myself, I always thought, well, if I say no, then it's going to sound like either A, I don't care, or that if I say no, I'm a failure because I couldn't get it done. Well, what I've learned over time is that I have to say no, and I've said no actually plenty of times working here at Fortune Builders. When I have too much on my plate and I know that I can't meet a deadline, I'm going to be just honest, not only with the owners in the organization itself, but I need to be honest with me and say, hey, I'm not considering myself a failure because I couldn't do it. I think you're more of a leader by saying, hey, you know what, that's just too much for me, and maybe I can get that done at a later time, or maybe I just can't get that done at all based on your workload, and then farm that out to someone else or ask for help. There's no weakness in saying I need help. And like I said, it took me a while to learn that, but I definitely say that, say no a lot more than, well, heck, I say no to my kids all the time, but I guess that doesn't count. But I mean, as far as work goes, definitely it's okay to say no. All right, think before acting. That kind of goes without saying. You really want to just kind of think everything through before you just jump right in, because what might happen is you might take some projects that you think without thinking, okay, we'll say without thinking, and just dive in. And you're thinking, oh, I got to get this done, I got to get this done. And then you accomplish it, and you look back and you go, okay, this could have been tabled until the weekend, or this could have been given to someone else. I could have, given this project to another employee to do for me or whatever. So just before you dive into something, and don't overwhelm yourself by thinking that you have to do it yourself, just kind of think it through and say, hey, is there someone else that I can farm this off to? And then continuously improve yourself. Well, when I read that, it makes me think of, it just kind of goes back to the time management. What can you do to be more productive in your day, your week, your month, so on and so forth? And obviously, when you become better with time management, or even better with time management, because like I said, it doesn't really, we can sit here all day long and think that, oh, I'm good with this. I don't need time management. I think we can always, there's always room for improvement. That by improving yourself and implementing some of these techniques in your own business is going to really free up some of the time that you can spend in your downtime. And then you won't feel, overly stressed when you're in your downtime.